Hey guys, welcome back to Stats Chat. Before we get started today, I wanted to make sure that everybody who watches this video, who kind of interacts with the site, is aware of a tournament that is currently available to sign up for, but not for very long. So if you're seeing this video in the next few days, make sure that if you want to get involved, you head straight over to the site and sign up. You have until the 30th of August to get involved. The tournament is, of course, Wolves Howling, a charity knockout event being run by Furioku, who you may know from the Discord and from the stat site in general. I wanted to make people aware of this tournament because Furioku has generously given up a big store voucher prize, and there is no entry fee. Instead, it is a charity event, and if you are able, there is a charity being run that is there for everybody who both competes and those who aren't competing. So if you are competing or not, and you are able to go and give to that charity, then that would be a really brilliant thing. Sometimes I'm asked what people can do to help support the site, and luckily, at the moment, the site doesn't really need your support, but this charity does. So if you're able to give, then that'd be great. So both check out the tournament, which will be down below. The Discord will be down below, but more importantly, if you can, check out the charity and give to that, because I think that'll be a great thing for the community to help with, and is a great cause. So, what's the topic for today? Well, over the past day or so, I've been made aware that I guess it's not entirely news to me. I kind of knew, I was mildly aware that it had happened, that it was happening, but over the past couple of weeks, through some negative comments about the game, and also through maybe not quite tactfully taking the piss out of some of the better known players in the community, I have managed to kind of offend and piss off multiple communities in the A Song of Ice and Fire communities in general. So that is, I guess, broadly the topic, broadly what's on my mind. Let's start by saying, firstly, if the things I've said have pissed you off, if I've offended you in any way, if I've said something about your community, a tournament that you've been to, a person you know, if you think that I've been overly mean in my comments about anything around the game, I am genuinely sorry. That is not the intent at all. To give it a small amount of context, for those of you who don't know me as well, or don't know the channel or the site as well, the only defense I would say is that we've been called overly competitive, overly serious, and kind of making the game into something not enjoyable, not fun. Recently, that's what I was personally trying to work against, what I was trying to change the image of, and I've been trying to be more fun and entertaining, but the offensive part is me, unfortunately, which is that when I try to be funny, I'm mostly just mean. That's mean about myself, mean about other people, and that's kind of like the comedy style that I try to bring, but I kind of have been made aware that that's really not what a lot of people want to hear. And I'm sorry if there's both maybe like a personal clash there and a bit of a culture clash too. But all I can say is that was never the intent. I was only trying to lighten, kind of have a light-hearted discussion about things that were going on. So I have been made aware that a significant number of people are pissed off by that, and I will absolutely take that on board. And let's just say I will be away for a few weeks anyway. And when I come back, hopefully, if Stats Chat, this particular kind of video series, if it continues in the same style, this is not the first time in maybe just like a month or so when I've been sat here asking the question, like, what is Stats Chat, why do we do it, what am I going to talk about. So hopefully when I come back, it can be in a more positive light. Hopefully I will be less mean. Hopefully I will just have something interesting to say rather than kind of taking the piss out of the community. And again, if you have been offended by what I've said, I'm very sorry. Please don't connect it to A Song of Ice and Fire Stats, the site, the website, that, while obviously these things are semi-connected. I started A Song of Ice and Fire Stats YouTube to talk about A Song of Ice and Fire Stats, the website, because at the time when I started the YouTube, almost nobody was using the site, almost nobody was submitting to the website, and it was trying to be a way to make sure that everybody hears about it. But, if you go and have a look, every time I post a video where I talk about new features on the website, when I talk about the website in general, it gets about half as many views as when I say something controversial and piss everybody off. So it seems that when I use it to talk about the website, people don't care. And then when I say controversial things, I just piss people off. So I'll be much more careful in kind of what gets presented to you in the future, what kind of things we discuss. So with all that said and done, let's try and get back to being informative and discussing what the website's all about, some statistics, looking at the power rankings, and we'll try and leave a bit of a takeaway for the weeks that there isn't going to be a stats chat, and maybe when we can come back, we can see if anything's changed. If you head over to the faction Elo rankings, you can see that right now we have, as almost constantly, we have the Free Folk up there on a plus 65, ever present towards the top. Sometimes Starks have been ahead of them, Lannisters have been ahead of them, but they're always up there. They're always a very powerful faction. That is one of the most consistent things that we ever see in the meta right now. Interestingly, we see Lannisters in number 2 right now with a 49 rating. This is, in my opinion, almost definitely a reflection of the fact that a lot of tournaments, and therefore a lot of other games being played in preparation for the tournament, a lot of results in general on the site recently have been played in the inclusion of Kickstarter exclusives. We know, and we've discussed at length continuously, how the inclusion of the Mountain That Rides really helps Lannisters just be considered top tier. They are definitely up there competing with the best lists when they have that option. So I think that's a relatively easy explanation for that. We also see Baratheons coming in at number 3 right now. They have been on a continuous rise, and they are both popular and powerful at the moment with a plus 21. This isn't a surprise to me, and I think that people are coming around to finally creating good lists with them. It is a very difficult balance, I think, between using the slow tools that you have without being completely out-activated. Using that defensive deck is quite difficult. But it seems that people are really getting to grips with them, and they're definitely considered a relatively top-tier faction as a general thing. We're yet to see them win a tournament, so we'll see if somebody can take them all the way. But players have generally done well with them, so they are generally doing fine. The Starks currently are in number 4 with a plus 8 rating, basically, which is an interesting kind of development. They have massively dropped in the last week. And, in the last 7 days alone, they've had a minus 48 point swing. This is huge. In the last month, they've come down from almost being neck and neck number 1 with the Free Folk down to their current position. This is because over the past 7 days, the past 30 days, they've had a relatively negative win rate. Significantly below 50%, including in tournaments. We're not just talking about, completely casual submissions here. In tournament data, they are winning less than 50% of the time over the past week, over the past month. Even more on top of that, specifically in the TSL, which has only just kicked off, the Team Super League, they are yet to win a game. They have lost every single game that they have entered in the first round. And more than that, there have been some quite big names, some very high-ranked players losing with them. So when those high-ranked players play relative unknowns, relatively unranked players, that's quite a surprising result and causes a big ranking change. Do I think that they will stay that low? No, I think that they will bounce back. I think they'll be up there again relatively soon. This is just, today's snapshot of where those power rankings are. But the stronger takeaway is that I'm relatively confident that they are 4 factions that can be considered competitive with each other right now. The 4 of them are very good, and you can see that they are by far the most commonly chosen 4 factions in the Team Super League, which with 4 players, you must each pick a different faction. So you're going to force a factional pick in that way. And we see those 4 far more commonly than the other 3. The other 3, while Night's Watch aren't a mile behind Starks, Night's Watch currently in 5th, all the other 3 are all negatively rated. That means that they are below 50% win rate in general, and they're just considered below average in terms of power. The Night's Watch are not far from neutral, not neutral the faction. They're not far from 0, not far from a 0 power level of being completely average, which is actually a relatively decent rise recently. I'm playing Night's Watch myself in the TSL. Not one of the power 4, and this is sort of a reflection of the fact that I think that they are stronger than their power ranking suggests they are, and that's what large part of what the site's about. If you think that a faction is below its real rating, then that's probably the best faction to play. That's the one that will get you the most ranking points for playing it. By proving that it's actually better than its ranking suggests, that will gain you points. So partly that, and partly because my favourite factions were all chosen by the rest of my team. So I just had to take a punt, and really I didn't want to play Starks. Really my choices, I felt competitively, I was left with the choices between Starks, Night's Watch, Neutrals, or Targaryens. And I wanted to give the Night's Watch a whirl because I thought that they were the ones best suited to really give me a good go out. Whereas Starks, there's a lot of pressure there. They have performed very well in tournaments in the past. So I think that everybody's gunning for Starks. And even though they are still very top tier, I think that you'll catch more people out with the Night's Watch. So the Neutrals come in at 6 with a -41. We've talked at length about the difficulties that neutrals have with significantly less options, and how the deck, while it hopefully would make up for that, is not quite pulling its weight at the moment. That balance isn't quite there. So that's unsurprising. And Targaryens continuously with their relatively strong negative ranking, they're -91 ranked at the moment. They have been -100, they're currently -90. It's pretty stable. They've been higher, they've been lower, but really Targaryens are still struggling despite their heroes box, and despite the addition of the Unsullied Swordmasters and stuff like that. There is the 1.6 FAQ, which does significantly improve the Unsullied Officer. Is it enough? It might help them a little bit. They might rise up. They might maybe challenge neutrals for not being last. But it's not enough, I don't think, to suddenly make them anywhere near kind of a discussion that they are very, very viable. So that's where the power rankings sit right now. The TSL, of course, the biggest event going on at the moment, allows the mountain that rides, and therefore it's no surprise that we see Lannister up there. Who will be the highest win rate from the TSL? Well, the TSL is going to run for the next 9 weeks or something like that. So we will see if how stable the meta is over that time, whether or not there are any releases. With 1.6 just coming out and it not having any balance changes, just being an FAQ, I would be surprised if we see anything that kind of changes any balance very soon. I think that basically the period of the TSL will be relatively stable. Then who knows whether or not we'll see some releases after that. Because of course, like COVID delays and stuff like this, this is one of the longest periods of just stable meta. No new releases, no new units to kind of mix things up, no new hero boxes, which are the big game changers to the meta. They're the ones that really shake up a faction and its power. So we've had a long time of this period. The Baratheons have been slowly ranking up and improving during that time, and I think that's very much a learning curve thing. I do think that they're one of the more complex armies to play really, really well. Specifically from army list build, I don't think that your gut feel go-tos are as strong as you think they are, and actually there's a lot of subtlety there. So that's where the meta's at, and we ask ourselves, we're always left asking the question, is that balanced? If you wanted any more evidence that that is balanced, there are claims. Unfortunately, the tournament wasn't run through the site, not fully. I think that the submissions were made through non-tournament based data, and also was kind of submitted as player details not available. So didn't rank any of the players either. But the long and short of it is there are claims that a tournament was recently won with Targaryens, the faction that the site says are the weakest. So if the weakest faction can win tournaments, then of course we are in a good, balanced kind of meta. We can pick apart very specific units and show how they are above or below the power curve. And competitive play is in large part, competitive army list building at least, competitive play is about being a good player, seeing good plays, making good plays, not making mistakes. But competitive army list building and preparation, a large amount of it is about understanding which units are like on the very top of like the power curve, the value that the unit can produce for how many points it costs. And those things are what the site kind of pulls out. It kind of starts to say that this is really, really good. This is kind of actually not as efficient as you might think it is. It just generally doesn't win as often as you think it should. So there are elements within every faction that are above the power curve and below the power curve. And you can write some very, very powerful lists and some very poor lists for almost every faction. What we see in the power rankings is how often the most powerful things are fielded. And we see some big trends. So there are some things that aren't perfect. I still love playing the game competitively and still continuously look for new army lists that are better and adapt to what I'm currently seeing and I'm currently playing. So all of those things say that even though no units have come out, there are still things to be learned, there are still things to be found, there are still ways to adapt. So I would say that the meta is definitely balanced enough for a very competitive game. There are games that are so much worse, so much worse. If you want a balanced game which is decided on the table, then a Song of Ice and Fire sorry. I always say a Song of Ice and Fire stats, just continuously talking about it all the time. A Song of Ice and Fire is definitely a game that is determined on the table by player skill more than it is by army list kind of setup. There are games out there which just you turn up, you bring one army, you turn up, you put it on the table, and the game is already determined before you really roll a dice, before you make a choice. And this is not one of them. So what we look for is just trying to help players pull out small advantages, which when we're playing at our highest level will help you get that win. But it all comes down to the way you use it and the way that you use the site. So, things like the stats builder and stuff like that, they're there as a tool for you to use to help kind of improve your gameplay and provide you with ideas that you might not have thought of before. But it's not a magic button. You don't just ask the stats builder, what list should I play, and then you instantly win. So there we go. As always, we've talked a little bit about stats, mostly about the website, and also a little bit about what the channel is going to do and trying to do, and some of the mistakes it's been making over the past couple of weeks. As always, blame all the mistakes on Mickey. They're all me. And I hope you will continue to watch. I hope that you will continue to submit games to the website, continue to grow it in your community, because I think that I do think that the website can be really brilliant for everybody from competitive through to complete beginner. That is its intention. That's what it wants to be. I want you to want to use the site to learn, not want to use the site to prove that you're better than anybody else. So hopefully you're sharing it with your friends, helping them improve too, helping your whole community improve, and that will just make us all better at the game, all enjoy it more. Close fought competitive games is what it's all about, and that's what we try and promote. Loads of tournaments going on, so I hope you're enjoying them, because I definitely am. It's good to play some TTS games, and also hopefully I'll be getting out and playing some more physical games, both of which will hopefully lead to me having more positive things to say about the game. I'm sure a ton of the negative comments that I've made over the past few weeks is related to the fact that I just don't get to play as much as I would like, particularly not in person, because of some quite strict still lockdown rules here in the UK. So that's all my personal feelings. Check back in a few weeks for when we get back to Stats Chat, and I'll see you soon.